Welcome to the Wealth Without Wall Street podcast, your guide to understanding how to get out of the Wall Street rat race and start your own mailbox money lifestyle. Now, don't let these handsome Southern draws fool you. These financial minds are teaching our country to enhance savings, increase cash flow, and create passive income, all without the help of Wall Street. Are you ready to break through? Now here are your hosts, Russ Morgan and Joey Murray.
Welcome into the Wealth Without Wall Street podcast. I am Russ, the idea guy Morgan. I am without Joey, the Italian stallion, today because he is at the hospital with his wife as they are getting ready to bring into the world their fifth baby girl. I thought since they are having a girl and he's not here that I would bring two of my three girls into our podcast to introduce our guest today. So really quickly, will you tell them who you are and how old you are?
Hello, my name is Elizabeth Reese Morgan. You can call me Betsy, and I am about to be 9 in 9 days. But right now I'm 8.
She's going to be 9 on March the 6th. How about you?
Hello, my name is Kate Morgan, and I am 11 years old.
You're 11 years old. All right, wonderful. Well, there's a couple things that people may want to know since they have children and they want to teach their children to learn about money. So is there anything that you've learned about money that would be inspiring to them?
Well, there's this little game, and it's called Cash Flow for Kids, and it shows you like things that can help you and show you what to do. And
Tell me about Cash Flow for Kids. How do you win the game?
Well, they give you these green things. Green little coins, and then they give you red coins, and they're both the same. And then so you go around the board with these little things, and you land on stuff.
And what's your objective? What are you trying to get? How do you win?
Yeah, so you get more green coins than you get the red coin. That means you get more money than you spend.
Yeah, you have more passive income than you have monthly expenses. That's a fun game, isn't it?
Yeah. And there's a big one, too.
Do I beat you when we play that most of the time?
No.
I won't do it. Kate, is there anything that you've learned or that you're doing that would help somebody?
Well, me and you are writing books.
We are writing a book. We're going through a coaching program called Self-Publishing School, right?
Mm-hmm.
And what do we do within that Self-Publishing School?
Well, we learn how to write the books and how to make it better, and you're writing a book too.
Yeah, and so within this book, we're going to be able to have it actually published, and you're going to be able to go and be able to buy Kate's book on Amazon, won't they?
Yes, they will.
Now, do we have a title yet, Kate?
Yes, we do.
Well, why don't you go ahead and tell them so that maybe in the future or when they're listening to this now in the future, they could go on Amazon and potentially buy your book. What's the name of it?
Dream Life, the Clock in the Attic.
Dream Life, the Clock in the Attic. So you can go to Amazon and you can purchase a very original book from Kate Morgan, and it is excellent. I have read most of it already. So let's get to our podcast guest today, which is Miss Genny Williams. If you're an entrepreneur and you've rode the roller coaster and you've been trying to figure out ways to enhance your spending patterns, if you're looking for ways to make those softer landings whenever you decide to switch gears, as we all do, this is going to be a podcast that probably will resonate with you. Genny, who has a lot of experience in the real estate community, has done everything that you can do with it. And as she's made changes, she talks about how this concept of infinite banking has been able to help her pivot and also help her with her children as they've been doing this. She talks a little bit about how she's bought a policy on her children, and one of her children actually bought a policy himself. Now, really quickly, girls, did you know that you have life insurance policies on your lives?
No.
Yeah, I actually, Mom and I bought a policy, 2 policies to be exact, on you two, as well as on your older sister and your younger brother. They're life insurance policies, whole life insurance policies that have money in them that we will use for things in the future, whether it be your college, maybe it be cars, maybe it's a business venture that the 4 of us may get involved in at some point in time. Does that sound fun?
Cool.
That sounds cool. Well, thank you so much for listening to us. We hope you enjoy our interview today with Genny Williams And we'll be putting pictures of the Murray fifth baby girl on our show notes pretty soon. So go check that out as well. If you've been listening to our podcast, you're like, man, I love what you guys are talking about. I want to build passive income through one of these 5 pillars that you're talking about. But how do I do it? Stallion, tell them it is so easy.
It's so easy that we created the longest URL possible. So you may want to write this down. freecall.wealthwithoutwallstreet.com. Go to freecall.wealthwithoutwallstreet.com and you can set up your call with one of us. We're excited to talk to you. Welcome into the studio, Genny Williams in the house.
Well, thank you. I'm just so happy to be here. Anytime I get to spend time with y'all is a good day.
Man, this is such a pleasure and an honor.
After Joey's downfall in that first meeting, and we're going to try our best in this interview not to make those same sort of bad mistakes and assume things.
There you go.
But as entrepreneurs, right, we do have mistakes that we make from time to time, and your life has been one of those where you're making different moves on a constant basis. There's lots of things that you're interested in doing.
I love the look on his face as he's like he's trying so hard not to let him tear up and laugh.
Well, you're no different than any other entrepreneur, right? I mean, what's the beauty of being an entrepreneur is you get to try different things you're passionate about. Those things change sometimes with the market, sometimes with circumstances and other things like that. But so walk us through, I know right now you're in real estate. You started a journey in real estate and that transitioned you into several other things. Walk us through kind of quickly what that's looked like for you.
Sure. So almost 22 years ago, I got in real estate because my dad's a real estate broker. And did not want to do it. Oh my God, did not want to do it. I'm like, anything but that, not
Fought
me.
it tooth and nail.
Yeah. Yes, I did really. Just because he worked so hard, and this is not product placement at all. He would leave the family a lot to have to go write offers. I mean, it would be New Year's Eve. It would be Thanksgiving. It would be in the middle of us trying to do something. And it was like Haunted Mansion. You ever seen the movie Haunted Mansion with your kids?
I have not.
Okay, so Eddie Murphy is going on vacation, and they're all excited. The kids are just in the back seat, and then he goes, "We just have to stop by this one house real quickly," and they get trapped all weekend long in the Haunted Mansion. Yeah, that was how I grew up, and my kids say that all. No, not just one house. We have to stop. So I really did not want to do it, and I loved it. Right as soon as I started, I was 25, pregnant, way out there, just like your wife has been for the past 10 years. Sold 18 houses that very first year from May to December, and caught the bug. Absolutely loved it, but I had no training anywhere because I would ask Dad, "How do I, how got my license? Where do I go? What do I do?" And he would say, "I don't know, baby. You just got to get out there." And that's my best Mississippi accent.
That's words of wisdom right there.
I know it is. It really is, though, if you think about it. Yeah, you do. You just got to get out there.
Just get out there.
But he didn't know how to tell me what to do because he's just a natural salesperson. He can convince people to do things, which is really not my style.
Right.
I'm more of an educator and like to sell through education and let people make their own decisions. And he is a persuader, convincer. He could sell a family of 6 a 2-bedroom house. And I've seen him do it. And so he did not know how to tell me what to do. And that's why one day I knew whenever I felt like I knew what I was doing, I was going to make it my passion, my goal to share with other people and help them have a resource of starting their career and a place that they could go and continually develop. So,
which you've done.
Did that.
You when was that? Did you transition to the coaching group?
Okay, so I sold in Mississippi for 5 or 6 years, and then a little bitty town, 27,000 people, and so depressing. My average sales price was around $68,000.
Wow.
And I sold over 60 houses a year, every year, with 2 car seats in and out of houses. And I was tired. I was worn out. things were going down and not going up. And Jay was actually building. We would buy lots for $3,000, and he would build houses for 85,000, like 89,000, and make money on that.
Wow.
Cray, right? So he was kind of on the side where he saw a lot of progress. I was on the side of town that was so depressing. And, I love being from Mississippi, but I just really didn't want to raise my children there. So when 9/11 happened, I actually had a listing appointment that day and canceled all my appointments. And I'm like, what are we doing? Like, why do we live here? Why am I working so hard for a little bit of money, right? And as entrepreneurs, I hope that you're asking yourself this question if you're faced with it. I was asking myself this question again in 2018.
Yes.
So that we made a decision to move to Birmingham then. And I was actually going to get out of real estate. Done, tired, worn out. And I took a director of marketing position at an orthodontist.
Oh, wow.
And quickly found out I'm going back in real estate. I think I was there maybe 2 weeks. No.
Not your
because
pace.
of what you just said a while ago. We can't work for people.
No.
That's right.
No, you can't. No.
No, you can't contain this.
Right. Plus, who could take those slow jams in those doctors' offices for too long? That's just like, come on.
Well, he had a...
I mean, fish tanks and slow jams. Let's move on.
He had a software company that I was working for. So he had, he was trying to show people after they had certain procedures what their teeth would look like, what their smile would look like. And that's what I went to work for. So I thought, something interesting, something different. But, okay, you know this about me. Strong, almost off the chart, high D, high I.
Yeah.
Right there together. Okay. I was working for the highest C who liked to change things every single day. We mapped out this entire strategy yesterday. So today we're going to remap it out in a new direction.
Wow. That didn't go well.
Can we just work?
Yeah.
Can we get some work done? I mean, so I finally just said, no, take me in 2 weeks. And so then I started real estate here.
And then, but when did you transition? You started your own coaching firm.
Yeah, well, I had to start over, though. I didn't know anybody in town. I knew no one in town. Not a relative, no one.
Oh, yeah.
Nobody. So how do you do that? How do you start selling again when you left all your data? I left like 20-something listings on the market in Mississippi, and people I knew my whole life, and came here and no one. I didn't even know what side of town we're going to live on or where, because I was actually staying in Anniston and driving over to the orthodontist place. My family I'd left them. I left them at home till we could kind of figure out what I was going to do and how we were going to get started. And then I went and let myself get lost and loved like the Mount Laurel area. And that's where, I was familiar with 280 because Jay's aunt used to live in Birmingham years ago. And so we visited her and she lived in Brook Holland, and let myself get lost over there. Ended up finding a RE/MAX office, walked in, asked the broker there a bunch of really tough questions like, what's the average sales price in Birmingham? I don't know, honey. Probably going to have to look that up. Okay, well, how long does it take to sell a house in Birmingham? I don't know. Oh, well, I think I'll put my license here. You sound like you're right on top of it.
You got it all figured out. I fit right in.
She's so super sweet, and I'm glad I did. And that's when I got started. So probably it was another, I never marketed my name, stayed so low key, didn't know really many people. I was really good at internet leads and converting those into referrals, and people didn't know who I was, and I loved it that way. It was great.
All right, so Genny, you're the serial entrepreneur, and you start real estate.
Yes.
You're being super successful. You decide to leave, like all entrepreneurs do, because we've got to chase the next dream.
Yep.
You're now starting from scratch again here in Birmingham.
Yes.
And how long did it take you before you needed to chase the next dream?
Well, I actually ended up, it got expensive to run a team at the company I was with at Remax. So I just opened up across the street. And if we're talking about serial entrepreneurship, let's skip the steps here.
Yes. No.
If we're on a 20-step program,
That's right. Yeah, this is step one.
okay. And
I have a problem. I'm an entrepreneur. My name is Jenny Williams. I'm an entrepreneur.
Oh Lord, don't let my husband listen to this. He'll go ahead and file for divorce tomorrow. I'll give you change. The Robert Scott, who owns Remax Advantage, who I adore and who is my second father, he clearly mapped out my whole serial entrepreneurship and said that I have a 3-year pattern. So does that answer your question? He said, I see. Every 3 years you do something different. And he's right. It's about every 3 years. Now, what's funny about that is I actually was with him at Remax Advantage South longer than I had been anywhere. So I've had Get a Real Estate Life for 10 years. So I do have some stability, and I have been married for 27 years.
That's good.
Yeah.
Well, and so folks that don't know what Get a Real Estate Life is, it's a marketing company you started, or excuse me, it started as coaching.
Yes,
primarily.
Started as coaching. Yes,
and then transitioned into marketing as an expertise.
Right.
Because you're obviously excellent at that.
Well, I'm. That's not. Yeah. I am excellent and creative at all of the ideas. Like I can give you all kinds of great ideas for prospecting, and I can really figure out kind of like your personality, your style, and say, how about this? Or what about this? Or let's tweak it this way to fit you. I'm very good at that. The execution, no matter who I hire or operations, is always an issue.
Implementation is a struggle of ours as entrepreneurs, right?
Well, not action taking, because I can implement something in 2 seconds, but getting my vision out of my head and getting it implemented for people.
Framework for others.
Struggle.
Yes.
The systems.
Were we talking about that this morning, Rose?
Yeah, I know a little bit about this. It comes out, it's clear in my head, but as I open my mouth, it gets more confusing to me and others around me.
Were you eavesdropping, Jenny?
Why can't you see this?
Yes, exactly. Do what I want. I'll tell you later what I want. Just do it.
Exactly.
All right, let's dig deep. And so as an entrepreneur, though, there's some ups and downs in this. And you and Jay, financially, give me kind of some background, things that you guys were doing to try to create stability before you met the concept of infinite banking.
Okay, so I was raised with the mentality. My dad is a huge risk taker, and he is the type of person that likes to put all his chips in.
Yeah. Just pushes them.
Just
push
everything.
The limits.
Everything.
He's gonna send it.
Yeah.
Yes. I'm sure that was a little side joke there.
This side joke.
Yeah.
We'll tell you later.
This morning.
That's a YouTube.
Okay, good.
Just
good.
send it. Yeah.
So leverage is his whole
process,
core value,
strategy.
The 3 keys to daddy.
And
leverage.
Yes, and it's fine, but that's really what I've always been shown. Jay grew up in a very conservative dad who's had one job his entire life for one company, Bell South.
Oh, wow.
We were in our 11th house in 10 years growing up because my dad would say, I've got one more house to show you. And it would always be ours. Right. And they would always want ours. So we were always moving, lots of change, and Dad owned hundreds of rental properties. So he always believed in leverage everything you have. And the income was great, right? But lots of banks and lots of loans out there.
Right.
So for me, that's what I knew. Buy the bigger house, get the better car, It's just a payment.
Right. As long as money's coming in.
That's right. And so whenever the market changed here in Birmingham, well, actually, this before the market started changing. Whenever I left Gentry and Company Realtors, that was my own company, and was hired as the team leader for Keller Williams, I had some debt there because, when you're in a sales position or you're in a sales company, you have stuff bills or you still pay, but the sales stop.
Right.
So you're going to have bills that continue.
Right.
And that's why we always laugh about home builders. They can't ever stop.
Yeah.
It never works out. So we were introduced then to Dave Ramsey. And we went through the Dave Ramsey program. And to answer your question, maybe I'm taking too long to do that, but I did not want to you talk about
fighting back. I mean, you're already a rebel at heart. I know we have that unique bond. So I can't imagine trying to apply that concept into Dave's philosophy. How'd that go?
Just for me to even listen to it took years.
Yeah.
Then try to get me to buy into it. Oh, yeah. Let me just write that check. Oh, yeah. So my poor husband. Well, I actually started teaching it in our market center to other agents because they needed it. They were having a hard time paying their bills. I mean, nobody was making any money at that time, and so I was buying into it because I was teaching it and facilitating. I wasn't teaching it, facilitating. And I got those baby steps down. But I went to Jay and I said, okay, I will completely buy in and do everything I need to do. And thank God we did, because he ended up losing his job that year.
Oh, wow.
And it was a very, very high paying job. He was a vice president for a home builder. And who in a market change, who's going to be the first person to go?
Yeah.
The highest paid. You're
right.
out.
Yeah.
So he completely lost his job. And you know what happened? Nothing. We had plenty of money saved. Because we had been through that.
Yeah, Dave's really good at getting the train wreck back on the tracks, right?
Yes, and that's what we needed that at the time. And then, just a few months later, I lost my job for other reasons, which is a whole nother podcast. But nothing happened to us then either. And, that confidence is really... To be able to say that we could not work for a long time and still pay our bills is a game changer. You're totally
you guys have
different
gotten lean and put money away that you could touch.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's how my husband likes to be. 2018, he's not been that way, and he is cray-cray.
Yeah.
I'm serious. He is Mr. Anxiety because he likes to be in control and he likes to see it. But so there we were in an all cash lifestyle, everything cash. So when we were first introduced to this, we were like, right. No, not going to happen.
Dave doesn't like this.
Dave does not like this. Term only.
That's right.
The worst place to put money. All right. So that's interesting. So the first time you heard this, what is really going through your brain? Like, are these folks crazy? Did they know that I not only am doing Dave Ramsey, but I'm facilitating the talk?
Right. And bringing so many people in, and I feel like changed a lot of lives facilitating that.
Yeah.
I know that I've helped a lot of people through Financial Peace University. And I believe in it still today, but it's great to get you to a certain point, and then you need to start looking elsewhere. Strongly believe that. Now, I will say that this program has, Infinite Banking has helped me on numerous occasions. I forget it's there. And Joey hates when I say it's a forced savings, but it is. Yeah. And for people who are entrepreneurs, we're going to be like, oh, we don't need to put that away. Yeah. We need to spend it as fast as we can.
Yeah. There's something I can put that money into. Just give me a second. I'll think of it.
That's right.
All right, got it.
Yes. I have the want list of what I want to buy. Cool new. I mean, seriously, like I have so many things I want to buy right now. And I'm like, just when some money comes in, right?
Well, so how did you make that transition? Going from that mindset to infinite banking, what was it that clicked with you?
Okay, so my friend who introduced me, I just trust him, and together throughout the years, he was one of my clients when I was selling real estate before, and it's Mike Kraft, and he was on me and on about reading that book, and that is the most boring book I have ever read in my life. So I told him if he asked me to read that book one more time, I'm like, I'm not reading it. It's horrible. So then he got to Jay. Okay. So that is what that
Jay
helped.
read the book.
Jay read most of it. Yes.
Okay,
And he
okay.
started understanding it. But okay, Mike and I, throughout the years, I helped him build a large amount of wealth. And we've been through a lot of stuff together financially. And talk about a serial entrepreneur. He's the same thing. I mean, he's selling tires now.
Yeah.
So through real estate, he and I were really good partners. So I'm going to listen to whatever he suggests and says. And if he says it's good for me, I'm going to give him the benefit of that doubt, right? Because everything's about a relationship first in my world. And so he ended up getting me to go to one event. That was probably when I was in trouble with you for using my cell phone. That was probably the second event. Yeah, that was probably the second one. And so after I went to the first one, Jay was like, okay, I'm going to do this. And he was in a situation where he had an IRA from his job that, a 401k, where he had been let go, and he had that. And we had it invested in college funds for the kids, and they really weren't doing well.
Mm-hmm.
So we needed to have something to roll that into. So that was kind of what he was really looking for, a product to do that with, and that's how we got started.
All right, so you've got lots of things there I could go into. I mean, the fact that as a serial entrepreneur, you then start Dave Ramsey, you apply it to facilitate it, then you hear infinite banking, which is like heresy in the Dave Ramsey world because we're using whole life insurance. Even though literally we're helping people get out of debt, we are using cash, but we use cash values, same very similar thing. The only thing we're not doing is the whole like investing in the stock market 12% mutual fund concept. But you sat through an 8-hour conference. I can't even imagine like watching you fidget during that whole thing.
Oh God, I was about to die. I'm not being rude to him on my phone right now because somebody my next interview is already calling me.
Yeah. This is really funny to me to hear you go through this process. But tell me how, as you've made transitions throughout the real estate world and you've started using infinite banking, how has that helped you? Like, how has that been different than what you were doing before?
Different from Dave Ramsey?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, praise Jesus, we don't deplete our balances. So I think that's probably the best difference.
Yeah.
Well, and you've used it in so many occasions.
Yes.
Give us a couple examples
use mine.
of that.
I burn it up. Well, and I had the best blessing the other day. You just have no idea. And I mean, 2018 was really tough for me because I'm not used to losing. And, 2018, and I'm going to be really honest and really raw, feel like total loser. I made a bad business decision. And I knew it pretty quickly, but I signed a year contract. And I was not going to go against my word, back out of it, or give 10%. I had to be 100%. And it's one of those things where you're seeing all of your money go down the drain and you're like watching it.
I've done that. We call that mining computers in our world, but go ahead.
and knew I was going to have to do it for a year. But it's the right thing to do. And sometimes when you make bad decisions, you just have to go through it and take the lessons from it. So this year, banking has just helped me pay the payroll for my people. And that's super important because when you take someone on, you make a commitment to take care of their family, and it's a really big deal, and to take care of them. And if I didn't have banking in place, then the kids wouldn't be going to college. I have 2 kids in college, and so we pay for 2 kids in colleges, and we pay for 4 households. And I have a huge payroll. I have had a huge payroll. Now, I've cut that way down going back in real estate. But in order to do the contract that I signed, I had to keep everybody in place and had to find a way to pay for them. So I've used the banks to do that.
Wow.
And when I finally decided that I'm just going to give up all one-on-one clients altogether, because it's super expensive. Owning a marketing company is, everybody might think, wow, you charge so much. We don't charge near enough. And, our clients were paying $2,500 a month, but the systems that you have to pay for and the labor that you have to have for creative ideas, think about that, like implementing that, because it might take me 5 hours to really develop an entire idea for someone. And then when you try to turn that into $1, now it's going to turn, the idea is going to turn thousands of dollars in for you, but you probably aren't going to be willing to pay me the hundreds of dollars for that. So it's expensive. It's crazy. So when I decided to end that, I was really at a crossroads just 2 months ago going, all right, I still have this out here. I luckily made a sale right away back when I decided to go back into sales, and listed something, sold it within 6 hours. And that was coming, but I'm like, I don't even know where I'm going to turn for this. Luckily I had a bank that I'd forgotten about. That's the difference about it. Yeah. You don't forget your balances in your savings accounts.
Well, it's at arm's length.
Yeah.
Which
value there.
But it's not out of hand's reach.
Right.
It's there, but you don't see it in your face every single day, like when you pull up that app on your bank account or whatever.
Yeah, and we've heard that. We've had a guy on our podcast before, Mike Mikalowicz, and his book Profit First, he talked about having accounts that were kind of outside of our eyesight, because sometimes having that, we do that bank balance accounting, right? We can see what's in those accounts immediately, and then that turns our brain into thinking, especially the creatives in the group. We start thinking, wonder what I could do with that. Wonder where I could save that. Wonder where I could invest that. Wonder where I could spend that.
Right. Spend really is what we all want to do.
Well, so, I have assumptions based on what you just said that infinite banking has been for you in this whole process. But explain that a little bit more. Like, how's that made you feel through all this?
Well, it was actually such a security for me. Now, we've used it for security for lots of things, because, we had a super, super high tax bill year before last, and to the point where I swear I think Jay and I cried for 2 months. It's don't even say the word I, and don't include an R in the sentence, because really, it was like crazy high. And Jamie and I talk about this all the time. That's all he does is pay his taxes with it.
Right.
But we don't like payment plans or anything like that. So we've used it to pay our taxes a couple of times, and that's always a great thing for an entrepreneur. But that one took a lot. And so security issues always pop up. My son had a truck that kept dying on him, having issues, all kinds of stuff. And so he said, if you just would have bought a decent truck to begin with, spent more money. But I did start thinking about that. And I said, okay, well, I can't buy him one and not buy Gentry something better. She doesn't complain. She's happy with very little. Jacob likes everything maxed out, the ultimate package, the best of everything. Gentry's like, I'm fine with this 25-year-old car over here. I'm good, Mom. So we used our banks to buy both of them cars. And so that they still have. And of course, Jacob wrecked his 3 days later.
Oh my goodness.
It's just how it works.
All right, so I want to take a question. This was something we asked some of the other advisors that we had in our office the other day. Was now, knowing what you know now, if you went back and did it differently from the very beginning with the life insurance policies, is there anything you would have done differently?
Well, you're going to laugh at me when I say this, is I don't know what I could do differently.
Okay.
So,
That's good.
I mean, do you put more into it? Well, sure. Do you get a bigger policy? Yeah, I know I had, I could do up to $1 million, but I know at the time it was like, only do this. And it was smaller. So I just did what I was told.
Yeah. You just followed the rules.
Yes, whatever it is. Just tell me what I need to do. And Joey laughs at me, but this is how I understand it. I do 10, 10, 10, 4, 4, 4.
We had to change up some of the vernacular.
Yes.
When we were talking to Genny about it.
I dumb it down.
And we're fine with that. As long as she understands it at that point, we're good.
Yeah.
All right. So what do you tell someone now? Because you were facilitating Dave Ramsey for a while.
Yeah.
And now you've been implementing this concept into your life. How do you tell somebody about infinite banking?
Well, okay, I still strongly believe in a cash-free lifestyle as much as you can, so you can put all your cash into a bank,
right,
into an insurance policy. So I really actually have both of the principles and both of the core values that we live by, because I do believe that, debt, being in debt, whether it's credit card or high leveraged cars or high leveraged houses, it changes the dynamic, the pressure of that. It changes the dynamic of everything in your life. And I like freedom. Freedom is my word for 2019. Will it make me free?
Yes.
And if the answer is yes, then I'm all about it.
Everybody just started thinking about Braveheart when you said freedom.
Well, good. I was going to say something about Mel Gibson, and I said, nah, better not. So I do think that, for instance, our children are not going to be faced with student debt, student loans. When you are out trying to help, and Joey, you know this, when you're trying to help people buy houses, these kids have these student loans stacked up against them that are crazy. And the jobs that they take, it's like, you're never going to pay that off.
Yeah,
right.
It's ludicrous.
How does that even make sense? So when we made a commitment and a promise to our kids that they would never be faced with that. So I'm not a believer in any kind of debt whatsoever, unless you have a mortgage against real estate, because you can usually do something with that. And, I don't necessarily want to say, hey, buy 100% financing on houses, because you don't want to be over leveraged. So the only thing different, I guess my thing is, like, when I talked to Jamie Reynolds about this, I said, you are so young, child. I mean, if I would have known about this when I was your age, and I'm like, you're going to be so wealthy. And then when I talked to Matt Laird, you are so young, child. It's the same conversation. That's the only regret. But you can't regret what you didn't know. And but looking back, my grandparents, they put money in life insurance policies, and everybody told them they were stupid. Yeah. But you know what? Guess who always borrowed money from them? Everybody that said they were stupid, right? Mm-hmm. Right? I mean, it's crazy. They always had it because they could always pull it out of their insurance policies. It was just something that they naturally did. So, I don't know. I'm not sure if I answered your question.
No, you're right though. I mean, like, World War I, that whole era, you had the most popular product was life insurance. I mean, it even showed up in the movies like It's a Wonderful Life, right? Where not Jimmy Carter, Jimmy Stewart's character was leveraging it in essence to try to, get the banker out of his back pocket. So it is definitely that is something that most people don't think about, is that it is one of the most stable instruments that exist. And as entrepreneurs, as we are faced with an ever volatile world, and usually it's what we're creating, right? We're living in the mess that we've made. But this is something that it sounds like in your life has been kind of that calm in the storm.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah. That was Chick-fil-A. Oh.
Is that a message from Chick-fil-A? Is that what you said? Okay.
No, it has been. It actually has been. And there's so many things I like about it, because like we paid the taxes right back off and put it right back in our policy. And that money's there in case we need it again for something else. Like sometimes, with my husband being a home builder and me also being a small business owner, sometimes you don't get paid for a while. And, he's got a job right now that he just finished that the homeowner's like, I'm not going to be able to pay you for a while. And we have to be able to count on, we still have bills. We still have 2 kids in college. So we can pay it back pretty easily and then pull it back out whenever we need it. So that's what I think I'm grateful for. But all the time, it is still earning interest. And that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
I mean, that is, you talk about it's the best way to leverage your dollars, really.
Well, thank you so much for coming in and sharing. This has been so fun to hear all the stories. And I know as an entrepreneur, you've seen your phone, it's blowing up. I know you got all sort of things you got to get to. So thank you for taking time out to share with us. Our audience is definitely improved by having heard your stories.
Well, I sure hope so. And I am a giggle box, and I like to laugh all the time. So I apologize to anybody if I have laughed your ear off. I do that on my radio show all the time. So can I add one tiny last thing? Do we have time for that? Okay. So one of the things that I do want to share is, since I'm looking for everything that is freedom, this is one of those tools that are freedom. I actually walked away from one-on-one clients because that it opened up a lot of freedom. And I joined a new company called eXp Realty. It has a lot of freedom as well. So I just wanted to make sure that I add like the whole picture of like where I'm going and why, and what the goals are. Banking will always be a big part. Probably my biggest regret when you're asking to do anything differently is not fully funding the 5th one that we opened. I haven't been able to do that yet, and that one is just for the company that you set me up on, Joey. And I'm going to be more focused on that and more intentional on that this year, because sometimes when you get crazy busy, then you get away from your financial, just being intentional and having that intention to fill those banks so that you can use those. I thought I usually spend, $17,000 to $25,000 a month on American Express, going through my business expenses for keep the marketing company, because the projects, I told you, are super expensive. And I told Joey and my husband the other day, I'm like, that's so dumb. I have this American Express. I should be pulling that out and using this with my bank all the time. And, just there's so many ways to use your banks that are incredible. You just have to sit down and be intentional about making your money work for you. And when you're caught up being busy in the business, which we all are, we could say, oh, no, I'm working on the business today. Whatever, you're in it. We're not going to, don't lie. That actually can change everything, right? Now I've just got to take the time to do that and, fund it, and then be able to pull that back out and use it as much as possible. So I wanted to make sure to add that.
No, I'm glad you did. That's a great point, that most people realize the use of like rewards points credit cards, and they know why they use them to buy things, even though they could have wrote a check, they could have paid cash, but they use the points because they get those little extra benefits. And that's really for, if you don't really understand what Genny has shared with you, and she uses the term bank, we're not talking about the traditional like FDIC, brick and mortar bank. We're talking about the concept of becoming your own bank, using a life insurance policy which we refer to as maybe our own financial family banking system. But when you use a life insurance policy to flow money through, there's a few benefits that we get from that, even if the money ultimately's destination is somewhere else. And if you get using a rewards credit card in order to do that, then you'll get infinite banking because it's just the same thing. You're flowing money through another instrument to get a few benefits before you spend it. And then, like you said, it comes with some perks and it gives you some forced places to put it back.
Right.
And that's always a great benefit. Thank you for sharing that story. I really appreciate having you on. And I know Joey, it's always good to hear the backside to Joey's stories and things where he hasn't been.
You
so
mean
perfect.
just more fuel for the fire for you to make fun of me down the road?
Exactly.
Let's just be honest.
Exactly.
Genny, always a pleasure, and we can't be more thankful for you being in here.
Oh, well, thank you for letting me. Thank you for asking me and allowing me here because I get to be in your presence in this awesome office. It was fun. And, if anybody is scared or, skeptical about banking, there's really nothing to be skeptical about at all. It is so safe. Reach out to Russ and Joey, and they'll help you feel better about it. Just take the lead. I just did it because I trusted someone who asked me to get involved in it. And now I just tell Joey, what do I need to do?
Yeah.
He takes care of it all.
Well,
So.
you're one of our biggest cheerleaders, and we're so grateful to have you out there spreading the news.
Thanks, y'all.
This has been the Wealth Without Wall Street podcast. Don't forget to subscribe to the show to break free of the Wall Street mindset and begin building wealth on your own terms in places you understand so that your wealth will never run dry. See you next episode.